there's more than just raise your rates. You also have to raise your value, raise your quality. But if you're not doing any of those things and you're just racking up the rates, you're going to raise your rates right out of business.
I'm glad that you're here because I kind of want to talk about rates, raising rates, and all that stuff. Like in the past 4 years, everything's gone up. And obviously, in automotive repair, so has rates.
Hopefully,
getting work done.
If you're a shop owner listening to this, hopefully so have your rates.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully yours have too. Yeah.
So everything in life is more expensive now than it was 4 or 5 years ago. And, if you are competing in a competitive marketplace for quality team members, then you better be able to pay them well, right? Your pay rates have gone up. So obviously your retail rates have to go up as well to be able to, field that additional expense. I actually get, you're talking about pay rates. I get a little bit frustrated when some of the online shop owner groups that have been around for a long time, it almost became like this running joke. Raise your rates, raise your rates, raise your rates. Anytime you have a problem in your shop and you ask for advice, there's just this wave of people saying that you're too cheap, raise your rates. And that was born from a place of there are an enormous number of shops that are not recognizing their value and not pricing their services such that they can have a good facility and have good tooling and have good benefits and attract good employees and that kind of thing. So a lot of times that was a good answer, and it still is the right answer a lot of times. But I feel like, maybe the pendulum has swung too far in one direction in some instances, because there are guys out there that, kind of drank that Kool-Aid, and now they're $230, $240, $250 an hour. But and we should be, in a lot of instances, we should be up there. But they haven't brought along the quality of their service, the quality of their facilities. They haven't brought along, the value adds that come along with that. So, if a Coke is $1 in the vending machine 10 years ago and it's $2.50 now, well, that's kind of come along with inflation to a degree, right? But if it's $10, what's the value add? Maybe it's $10 when you're at a concert you really want to be at. Well, it's because they got it and it's at the concert, so there's a value add there, right? But if it's $10 and it's coming from the same vending machine, that doesn't jive. So I think there's a gap there. There's some folks that need to know that there's more than just raise your rates. You also have to raise your value, raise your quality, raise, the facility, the tooling, the people, the benefits, all of that costs money. So you should raise those rates. But if you're not doing any of those things and you're just racking up the rates, you're going to raise your rates right out of business. Right? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, that was a soapbox item for me.
No, go ahead. Sit on it.
So, I think.
What kind of, value you're talking about? Like, you mentioned Coke. I think it's a good example because if you're at a concert, that's added value to drinking a Coke. Like if that's not on the couch watching TV, to me, if you want whatever beverage of your choice at a concert, there's your added value. So like what for a repair shop, help me fill in the blank. What kind of added value are you talking about that helps go along with raising rates that you can show a customer and say, hey, we also offer this too?
Well, so, there are lots of different things that you can do, and it varies from shop to shop and market to market and that kind of thing. So you need to know what your market is offering, right? What the best guys in your market are offering and what you can afford to offer. You need to be involved with some groups so that you can find out what that's like. Because look, if you're on an island by yourself, or if you're, just kind of living in a very insular environment, you don't know what's possible. You don't know what you don't know. So at the risk of kind of beating the same drum over and over, you need to be out networking with other shop owners. You need to be out going to some of these training events to find what other folks are doing, because there's no original ideas, right? So for me, there's a lot of things that we can do. You want to offer the best warranty in your market. You want to have loaner vehicles. You want to have really good benefits for your employees. Well, that all costs money, right? So what do you mean by really good benefits? Well, there's health insurance and there's 401k, but we offer a tool truck stipend. We offer a lot of paid training. We,
Right.
free boots, work boots, free gloves, that kind of thing. So just I never would have thought about that. That wasn't my idea. Somebody else at one of these meetings at one of these events
Right.
was like, "Oh, we do that. That's a great idea. I'm going to do that." And it goes beyond that too. Right? Some of the best marketing ideas I've ever had came from just the networking at these training events. So obviously, I am very biased, and I have a vested interest in the one that's in my backyard. ASTA's Expo, right, is near and dear to my heart as a longtime member of the association. But if there's one in your neighborhood, you need to go. You need to go to Tools in Pennsylvania. You need to go to Vision, right? If you're in the Midwest, you need to come. If you're anywhere in the Southeast, or even further, you need to come to the ASTA Expo. It's, in my opinion, the best bang for your buck from a training expense consideration, and also the networking is unlike anything at any event. I'm talking better than Apex, better than Vision, better than you know WorldPAC's, STX, all that stuff, because of all of the different opportunities to network with other shop owners and vendors throughout the length of the event. It's pretty special, and that's intentional. It's not. It didn't happen by accident. We've planned it that way.
Were you ever a shop owner that when somebody mentioned training or going to an event like that, you were like, eh, not for me? Was that ever you?
No, I want to learn. Right.
Because I
I'm
feel like
fortunate that
that's a good portion of shop owners, you know?
I think so. Right. A lot of shop owners are like former technicians who, and technicians by their nature are curious individuals. They're the kids that grew up taking the bike apart and putting it back together, or the toaster or whatever, and putting it back together. But if you if you can get over your ego and know that you don't know everything, and
That's the
understand that,
challenge. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we are all creatures of ego, but I mean, if you can go to an event and find one thing or two things that you can implement and execute on Monday when you get back to the shop, it pays for the event 10 times over the course of a year, right?
Hmm.
And if you've never been to an event like this, it's my favorite thing to do is to come to the expo and meet a first time attendee shop owner or a first time attendee tech, because they have no idea, and it just blows their hair back, right? The the people that they've known or know of online and social media or in forums, they get to meet face to face and share a drink with, or break bread with, or go to their class and meet them. But the shop owners that come in for the first time, they go and they sit down in front of Cecil Bullard or Rick White or any one of these other trainers that are going to be there. Darren Barney's going to be there, and it's like somebody's turned the light on finally, and they see, oh my God, I don't have to work 70 hours a week and never take a vacation, or I don't have to close the shop to go on vacation. This really can be a lifelong nest egg and not a job that breaks my soul.
Yeah.
So I
It,
know Lucas very well, and he's told the story that the first time he came, his intent was to go to technical training because he was going to close up the shop and go get a job at a dealership, because there's no way that he could make more money than he could get paid at the dealership. He just didn't know, right? And now look where he is. So, and it's because he chose to come to a training event and meet some people and have his eyes opened. So it's pretty amazing the effect that you see from day one to closing dinner with first time attendees. It's one of the most fun things that I get to see every year. So
right. So, on the scale of this is my takeaway from the event, is it more of the training or is it the networking, or where does that like scale tip for you?
so for me today, it's the networking, but that's because I've been to 30 training conferences and I've been to hundreds of hours of training, right?
Yeah.
You take me back a decade when I first started coming to them, absolutely was in the class because I didn't have all these relationships built yet. And some training events are more clicky and standoffish, and some of them are more welcoming and social. Obviously, I feel biased that the expo is the most open armed and socially welcoming of all of them. But if you're a first time attendee, you need to go to class and you need to pay attention. You need to take notes. And my advice is just take all the notes you want and then understand that you're never going to get all that done. So when you get back to the room at night, try to whittle those notes down to 2 or 3 takeaways from each class that you go to. Because if you try to do it all at once, you won't execute on any of it and you'll believe that it was all hogwash. But if you
Mhm.
just pick 2 or 3 things to execute on from each class, that you can be a better technician, be a better manager, be a better service advisor, a better recruiter, a better marketer, then that's how you get those little incremental changes that change your life and change the life of your employees, right? Because you're responsible for the livelihoods of all of your employees and their families. If you
Mhm.
choose to own a business and employ other people, that's the responsibility that you're taking on.
Yeah.
And it's pretty powerful stuff. So if you're an early attender, if you haven't been to many, I would say the classes, and you still need to start building those relationships. If you've been to a dozen of these things or 20 or 30 of these things, still reason to go because of the networking and meeting the new tech. The techs that you met a decade ago are now shop owners, right? And we can pull each other up together, right? You don't have to be a master to teach someone. You just have to be further down the path than the next person. And so those conversations also are hugely valuable in the hallway and at dinner and at the social events. So, except for at casino night, it's just silliness. It's just total silliness. So,
Well, I do feel like, that may stretch outside of the casino night just a little bit since
I don't know what you're
Lucas is going
talking
to be
about.
there. But I mean, and David, David Roman, if you guys have listened to Change in the Industry,
Yeah,
silliness just
Roman
kind of
may be the
follows them
most
along.
he's maybe the most social person I've ever met. There's nothing he loves more than getting out there in the middle of the hallway and just greeting people and giving hugs to everybody. I
Yeah.
mean, dude loves a hug.
Yeah.
So if you see Roman, give him a big hug.
Big hug. Loves them. All about it.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I can't wait. I'm excited for it. We're 6 weeks out. It's going to be amazing. Next year we're going to be at the Raleigh Convention Center, which is 4 times the size. So this year we had so many instructors submitting classes that wanted to come in and be there. We had to actually draw a line and cut it off because we had way
Wow.
more people wanting to teach than we actually had space for.
Mm.
And so, if you look at the course lineup and the instructors and the subject matter lineup, I mean, it's really dynamic. I mean, I'm frustrated because every learning session that we have over the 3 days, there's more than one place I want to be. Right? I just want to multiply myself so I can go to 4 different classes every session. So I'm just sending several people from the company, and everybody goes to their own class. And the takeaway is you take notes and you come back and we're doing lunch and learns over the next month, and you get to teach your class or the
Mm.
key takeaways from your class,
That's a good idea.
so that everybody can get
Yeah.
some value out of it.
That's
Right?
a good idea. I will say it's probably important to share that this is the ASTA Expo, and it was called ASTE. And
It was,
so
and Lucas likes to give me a hard time about that. Look, we had all this alphabet soup. It was the Automotive Service and Tire Alliance is the name of our association. And we had been hosting for years the Automotive Service and Technology Expo. And so it was ASTA put on by what was IGO and NCTDA and now is ASTA. And it was just alphabet soup.
yeah, that's
And
giving me a
so,
headache right now.
yeah. And so now it's just the Expo. ASTA is the association and we host the Expo.
Yeah, makes sense.
So Lucas likes to make it up to this big deal that it's way more complicated and confusing than it needs to be. It's not. Lucas is just simple minded.
I'll send him that clip there you just said. I'll
Please do.
share
Please
that
do.
with him. Link to register for the ASTA Expo is in the description of this podcast, the YouTube video. And hey, come say what's up to us. I'm going to be there. Mike's going to be there, of course. We talked about Lucas and David. So
Absolutely.
we'd love
There's gonna be a
to
bunch of different
get to
podcasts
meet
there
you.
recording.
Yeah.
Go get your internet fame on.
That's right.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah, jump on an episode if you got news to share. We'd love to talk. So yeah, we're going to be there. ASTA Expo coming up September 26th, 27th, 28th. Link in
Perfect.
the show notes.
Come early. I'll give you a tour of the shop.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. All about that. Well, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Braxton.